Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to Live with Heidi and Heather.
I'm Heidi Esther, joy and mindfulness storyteller.
And I'm Heather Kokx, happiness expert.
And
we're
we're both here to
to
pump you
you
up.
One day.
One day we'll get it.
With true stories, lessons, and tools to get you to more joy, happiness, and personal freedom.
Come for the conversation and stay for the ridiculously cute dog cameos, of which I don't have any today.
Now,
they're here, but they're chewing on stuff right now.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a girls' weekend without the hangover.
You betcha. All right. Here is the show.
All right.
Woo-hoo.
So the goal for the show is we are going to talk about your 4 key strategies to move from hot mess to feeling joyful and alive. Yes. And we're going to be focusing on your journey. And so you and sharing your journey and also sharing your upcoming memoir for Cryin Out Loud, which I'm so excited about.
Yay. And me too. I feel like I'm in the throes of it right now. Aww. It's like working with somebody to do the formatting and all that jazz.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's getting like technical. It's not like a creative part of it. So I'm trying to just kind of just go with it and have my learn my lessons and all that good stuff. But yeah. The book hopefully next year, March.
Nice.
Yes.
It's going to be
the Ides
awesome.
of March.
Excellent. All right. So cool. I'm going to jump ahead and ask you, Heidi, what are you doing to take care of yourself today?
Okay. So I had a big, and everyone who is watching this, either live or with the replay, please let us know also how you are taking care of yourself today.
Yes, please do.
Today, yesterday, my wife went to the ER. It was not a complete life-threatening situation. I guess it could have been, but everything's totally fine. And she has meds and she's going to change her diet and everything's going to be great. But that was like a lot of stress for me. And then I kind of rolled that. I just went right into mom mode until like 9 p.m. last night. I just rode that big train of stress all the way up there. And then this morning, I had a conversation that was very smushy on the boundary front and challenging. And so I was just like, I feel like a Tasmanian devil. Like I just felt like I was like, oh, so I let myself cry and just kind of like get that out. So as we're talking about strategies from hot mess to empowered joy, like, it's a journey, right? You're kind of back in hot mess category, working on getting back to the joy. Didn't just happen one time for the book, happens all the time.
Yes, it happens all the time. Life likes to do that to us, unfortunately. Yes. So are you feeling a little bit better? I'm glad you're here.
I'm feeling a little bit better. Yeah, I would say I feel calmer. I feel a little more centered. So just kind of getting my feet on the ground. So yeah. What about you, Heather? How are you taking care of yourself?
Well, I took Ember for our morning walk, and it's always really lovely. And I would go grab her, but I'm attached to headphones.
So yes, this is an upgrade for us. This show.
Yes, and I got a new light, and it's not doing what I want it to.
I feel like you're in the closet right now.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like I think it's my computer because I'll be like, oh yeah, that looks good, and then the computer like adjusts for the lighting. Ooh. This is what I've discovered in the past like 2 minutes.
So it's gonna just be a transient experience.
Yeah, and I could turn my computer and go back to my original position, but you know what? That's okay because you just got to go with the flow. So anyway, so yes, I went for a walk with Ember and I had some oatmeal with peanut butter for breakfast.
Oatmeal with peanut butter. So you put the peanut butter in the oatmeal. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't ever know about that combo.
And blueberries. I got it from the Minimalist Baker. That's my favorite website for recipes. And yeah, you do overnight oats. You take equal portions of oatmeal and milk, whatever kind of milk you want. And then I put a tablespoon of peanut butter in it and mix it as much as I can. And some maple syrup and some vanilla. And then frozen blueberries. And then I just put it in the fridge. And in the morning, it's ready to go.
Wow. That sounds amazing. So, for everyone watching the replay, we will put a link in the chat. I feel like we have a food link for every show now.
Yes,
And
I think so.
so we gotta just go with it.
Yes. Well, food's important. And I
Yeah.
like experimenting with different recipes and things like that. It's what I like to do. So, all
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So, what's one thing you're proud of this week?
This morning, I'm proud of that. I listened to myself, and I was like, I'm a crazy woman right now, and I need to cry. So I'm proud of myself for doing that without giving myself any grief about it. Like I knew I had this. It's like I had this tense ball, and I was like, what am I gonna do with this ball? Am I gonna go do a hit workout? Am I gonna run around the block? What am I gonna do with this ball? And so I cried. So that was really, really cathartic. And also, I had a challenging conversation this morning, and I decided my intuition, this wasn't the first time that I'd had this conversation, but my intuition was like, this is not the person. This is not your person. This is not your person. And then I was like, but it's the right price. It's the right time.
Oh, yeah.
And then my intuition was like, this is not your person. This is not your person. So I listened to my intuition.
Good for you.
And I was like, all right, this is not my Yoda. I need another Yoda. So I need to move in a different direction. And all was well. I put up my boundaries, and I felt really like this weight just immediately lifted when I like put up that boundary. And I was basically like, it's like a breakup. It's like, it's not you, it's me. No, really, it was me, because I didn't listen to myself before, and now
Yes.
it makes me sound like I have multiple personalities. So I wasn't listening to myself before, but now I am listening to myself, and now we need to break up, but not my two me's, me and you.
Yeah. Right. Right. And
yes,
that's the thing with boundaries. And you just said it like perfectly, that it's the stress of leading up to it and doing it. But then afterwards, like you said, it's just like, oh, so glad, so relieved. So like, it's worth it. It's worth it in the end. So
yeah. I can imagine that's kind of like what acupuncture might be like. I haven't ever had it, but I always think like, oh, people always think it's like this pokey, crazy thing. But then afterwards, you're like, oh my God, I've released tension from the last 32 years.
I've felt a little high after acupuncture.
Oh.
So yes. Also after a chiropractic appointment once.
Oh.
Yeah, he did like this weird thing where he used I can't think of the name of it, but it looks like a little like shot gun or something like that. Not a gun, but like a shot, like a syringe, but it goes and it just kind of goes this.
Wow.
And afterwards he was like, yeah, you might feel a little fuzzy. And then I went to the grocery store and I was like, look at all the pretty bread. So I did. I felt like I'd taken a bunch of Valium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yes, you should try it sometime.
Yeah. Don't acupuncture and shop. So that's what you learned there.
Yes. Exactly.
Unless you're just there to look at the bread.
Yeah.
You're like, got my eyes on you, pretty lady. Little brioche buns.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So everyone in the replay, what's one thing you're proud of yourself for this week?
Right. And then I also wanted to say, when you were talking about crying and needing a good cry, I was just curious. Like I have certain movies that I'll put on when I know I need a good cry, and it's just not happening. Right. So like one of them is Dead Poet Society and one of them is English Patient. So I am just curious if anybody out there has a movie that they're like, I just need a good cry, or just always makes them cry, like no matter what, no matter how many times. I'm just curious. I love movies. So if you have something like that,
yeah. Put that in there. The movie I think that caused me the most tear duct cleaning would be The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, I have been afraid to watch that one.
That's a tough one about very young people and cancer.
Yeah.
And I specifically, it was very poignant also because my wife had brought it for us for our couples weekend, and because she thought it'd just be like a good chick flick.
Right.
And so, like, we're just sitting there in our place, and I'm just like, oh, and I was like, I forgot to bring my teddy bear, and so I got
Oh.
like the hotel like pillows wrapped up, and I'm just like, and so I'm such a deep processor. Like afterwards, I'm like, I always think like, oh, what would it have felt like to be this person? What would it have felt like to be that person? And so like I go and like embody like, what if I was their mom? What if I was their
Mm,
grandma? Like, what if I was them, and like how would I face into life? And so all of the roles in the movie just ended in more tears. And then I'm like, maybe I need to develop a little bit of boundaries in between me and my movie experience, especially if it's like the one couple weekend you have in 2 years.
yeah.
So it doesn't ruin like the whole evening.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
so yeah. I mean, obviously I probably felt pretty good after that because I had a very good cry.
Yeah.
Um yeah. Yeah. So in case anyone is wondering, this is my Christmas mug, my holidays mug.
Ooh, nice.
And these are not gingerbread men. So to be clear, these are my androgynous gingerbread women. Okay. Okay. So
So
we
if
have
they're androgynous, they're men, women, right? They're like,
no, that just means they dress like for neither gender.
okay.
They're just kind of just like they might be wearing a button down shirt, but you can't, you don't know. You don't
Yeah.
know. They got cool flat front pants. Yeah, it could be from the women's section, could be from the men's section.
Right.
These could be maybe my non-binary gingerbread people. It could
Yes.
be like the same, maybe
Mhm.
that's like the same thing. It's like neither one
But
nor
it's
the
true.
other.
You've never thought about a gingerbread woman. So this is a good point.
I know.
I'm
And
glad
so
you
I
brought it
got
up.
this mug and I was like, well, I'm a lesbian. And so it just kind of struck me. I was like, oh my God, they could be.
Hmm.
We don't know the original intent of the people who made this mug.
That's true.
Right.
Hmm.
So I
And then
feel
there's
like,
the idea that artists put out and then you take from it what you want.
mm-hmm.
So you're taking from it what you want.
Yeah. There's no bow or tie. There's just red and green here. Red. So
Yes,
my
that's
kids
true.
are like, oh God, Mom, I don't
That's,
even know what that means.
that's what moms are for, to do
Yeah,
that stuff.
we got to broaden the scopes. So, all
Oh,
right.
yes. So,
Woo.
Heidi, we're talking about exciting things for you today. Well, and also like the journey that you had, which wasn't always exciting, but at the end it was. But
Yes.
first, let's all back up a little bit and share with us what you do and why you wrote this book.
All right. Well, I always start with like I'm a joy and mindfulness storyteller, but what does that really mean? So, I've been through a almost 13-year journey on waking up and kind of like digging. I call it digging out, but like that's more like uncovering who I am, right? Just like peeling layers. Like, who am I? Like, with relates, because I used to just always say, oh, like I'm a mom and I'm a wife and I'm a daughter and I'm a hard worker and I'm a sister and I'm a friend. And there was this period in my life where I had these like little, like they were like little nudges. They were like, "Are you happy today? Are you happy? Are you
Mhm.
psst, psst, are you happy?" So that kind of started me on a journey, on a healing journey. But during this whole time, I'm learning how to write poetry, which is kind of learning how to feel my feelings.
Mhm.
And a few years later, I step into storytelling, like a local storytelling group. And the whole time I'm a fundraising professional, so I'm constantly like building relationships. I'm a pretty super people person. Try to say that
Mhm.
fast. You're a super people person,
Super
super
people
people
person.
person. So so I kind of got to this point in the pandemic where I was just like, and this is after I had been fired for the second time. This is after I'd been turned down from 2 jobs. This is in the middle of the pandemic with my open concept house, which I wish had more doors, but I had to adapt with grumpy teenagers who couldn't be with their friends and my introverted wife who couldn't get alone time. So, and I was like, well, you could just go in the forest and then come back out at some point. It's not cuddly there though. And I found joy. And it was just kind of like this miracle that like I had stepped into a place where I was like, all right, I believe in all of these skills and knowledge and like places I've walked in healing and wacky stories. And I started writing these stories and I found this joy and I tapped this joy and I was like, this exists. This
Totally.
is a thing.
Yeah.
This is real. Like, wow, I didn't know that life could feel this good. I was going on a journey like, all right, I'm just kind of trying to do the best I can with what I have and like make things work and, trying to not beat myself up all the time. Like those are my main goals, like be kind to myself and like get the shit done and like take care of the people. And that was like my main tenets in my life. And then I kind of tapped into this joy, this purposeful joy. And I said, everybody's got to have this stuff because it's good. Because it makes you go like, I want that brioche. So good. Yeah. But you don't have to have the acupuncture or, anything. It's just
good point. Yeah.
I got to this point where I could tap into this joy by myself without any outside intervention, without other people saying nice things or compliments or anything, without relying on others. So my mission is to bring the joy. And I call it your joyfully ever after. So when I was thinking, I never really thought I was going to write a book because I was like, oh, I'm just a storyteller. I just write little funny snippets. And then an email popped in my box one day, like, want to write a short book? And I was like, ooh, short book.
Yeah.
I can write a short book. Okay, that's cool. Could just pretend I'm writing like little snippets and like make them chronological.
Yeah.
I can do that. And so I figured, I was like, I just need to start at the start of where I started to kind of wake up and say, am I happy? What's going on what's going on in my brain right now? Like, is this what happy is? Is my life happy? So that's, I guess, the long and the short of it is that that's why I'm here. I'm here to bring you the joy. I think I even wrote it somewhere.
Right.
I'm going to show it. You are, therefore, you deserve joy.
I love it.
That's a Heidi original right there.
Yes. And I think that's true. I think we were put here not on this earth, not to be miserable, but to discover who we are and to find that joy and to find joy in this wonderful world that we've been put into, So I like it.
Amen.
And so you are saying that you found it, and if you can do it, other people can too.
Yeah. I feel that is, I have this apparent ability to look back, and this is what I did after my book. I could look back at the journey of my book. I can look back at the last 12 years, and I see every little step that I took that got me forward. I saw the steps that got me backward also.
Yeah.
So I can I can break it down like a ninja. So I'm like a joy and mindfulness ninja.
I like that. So that's what your book is about then, right?
Yeah. So my first book is about how I woke up with all those. And then I had other more painful, people say God gives you lessons in like toothpicks and baseball bats. So that would be the start of my baseball bat time. And the end of my baseball bat time was only like last year. Well, I wouldn't say the end because I'm sure there'll be other baseball bats. But but yeah. So that's the start. That there's a bunch of baseball bats in there that kind of like really knocked me out of my head, but also it got me, I say out of my head because it got me into my heart and it got me into my body because I wasn't really paying attention to how my body felt about things and especially feelings and how my heart felt about things. And so really just kind of starting to taking that look at, from the outside.
So just to be clear, I want to clarify something. You're not saying that everybody can be in joy all the time, correct? What you're saying is that, I mean, like, you're not expecting everybody to be Pollyanna all the time, and you're not Pollyanna all the time. No. So what you're saying is, but that a lot of people don't even know they have this joy inside of them. And once you have tapped into that, you can go back there and have that and build it.
Yes. And it's kind of just like you can get a little bit out of alignment or a little bit like back in alignment with your joy. But also what joy does is it kind of provides like the world's best armor because, and I say armor, I don't know if that's the best analogy because when you live authentically as yourself and you're out there being yourself, and you tap into this joy, you have this buffer that you're just like, I believe in who I am. I know, at least today who I am, and I'm okay with that, and I'm in love with that person. And so that provides like this buffer for all the crap that comes at you. So normally when you would say like, oh, I'm up here, but then you get knocked down. So then if you have that joy, you kind of have this joy buffer and authenticity buffer, then you kind of get like you're on a mattress. You kind of just get bounced a little bit. You're like, whoa, okay, that wasn't good. That wasn't the most authentic thing, or that wasn't the most honest thing, or that I really gave myself a lot of crap about that for like the last 3 days and brought everybody's, happy quotient down. So, so yeah, though there's no such thing as Pollyanna all the time. I guess if you want that, it's probably like some substance you gotta take to
That's true.
Yes, that's probably
true.
That's
or
probably
go to the
what it is.
acupuncturist and maybe
you just have a daily dose of that stuff.
Become an acupuncturist junkie, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I did used to. Speaking of my mug, I used to drink coffee a lot more than I do now. And whenever I'd feel like, like I feel off, I feel nervous, I feel not myself, and which is funny because I didn't know myself very well. I would always have coffee because that would just kind of like press everything down and be like, coffee makes life okay. So that was like, I guess that's probably the only substance I've really abused in my life would be coffee.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. It could be worse. I did used to get grumpy when I didn't have it. So then I knew the caffeine was more of a necessity, like an addiction than not. So because one time I had this root canal and I had this pain in my tooth, and I knew it was going to be a root canal, and I knew this as I was sitting on a pontoon boat in the middle of a lake, like in the middle of a vacation with my parents and my young kids, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do about this? Yeah. And so I stopped. I started drinking like cool coffee. This is before cold coffee was a thing. And it was like the worst experience of my life. Yeah. Cold coffee is just like, and so I stopped drinking that, and then I just wasn't having any caffeine, and it was bad. I was definitely in the more the Grinchy category than the Whoville category. Yeah.
Coming down off of caffeine is not a great thing. I've been there, done that. Not fun.
Yeah, you gotta regulate that stuff, and then over the holidays it gets worse because then you're like, I want alcohol in my caffeine, and so then you have caffeine like on the bookends of the day, and then one gets an extra bonus of Kahlua or Bailey's or whatever.
So you were talking about boundaries earlier, and in your book you talk about standing up for yourself and for your safety and for your joy. Yeah.
So so I would say I'm a grateful recovering codependent right now, but beginning of book, don't even know what that word is or what the word boundaries is or
Mhm.
anything like that. So I was just used to making sure that I tried to make everything perfect so that everyone was taken care of and nobody had any issues.
Mm.
And
It sounds exhausting.
yeah, pretty much I wouldn't have been able to articulate it, but I did have migraines every few weeks.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
especially during this time of the year when I tried to do handmade gifts for people, like
Oh,
lots of handmade gifts for lots of people and lots of little parties for my little preschoolers at the time. I had migraines all the time. And so you never know like what your stress and what your how your lifestyle is impacting like your
mhm.
physical body until you kind of get on the other side of it. You're like, oh my gosh, unless a doctor of course intervenes or somebody's like, hey, you're killing yourself.
Right.
But I just had migraine meds that I took that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't work, but the I just got a day off from the routine. So I and in reality at that point I didn't, because my life was so crazy, I didn't mind the day off even if I had a
Mhm.
migraine, which will let you know like how busy it was if migraine was like, "Oh, this is going to be a good day because dad's going to come home and take care of the kids."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And but that's interesting. The body is so interesting to me because the body was like, if you're not going to slow down, I'm going to shut your ass down.
yeah, it's like, I'm gonna put on the emergency brake. So there.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what you can do now. Yeah, the body's serious.
Yeah. The body is serious.
It stores so much, and now
Mhm.
I feel everything. Like I'll feel in my shoulders. Like if I have stress, it's usually in my shoulders. And
Mhm.
then my lower back if I'm giving myself too much pressure for deadlines. And then if something's very upsetting, I feel in my stomach. And so I have all these different areas now where I'm just like,
That's
"Oh my
awesome.
god, I need to like stretch out like my dog, like doing
Yeah.
up dog and down dog and all those other dogs."
Yeah.
And and I was like, oh, "Okay, I must, must need some
So when
loving."
you feel the tension in your shoulders or you feel the belly, do you like stop and ask yourself, what is this coming from? Like, what is the source in my life right now that is causing this?
In an enlightened Heidi for sure would say that. So most of the time I catch myself when I'm like, I need to stretch. Oh, wait, I
Yeah.
need to stretch. Or
Yeah.
like I'll be stretching like on a door jam and I'm like, wait a second. Why am I stretching on this weird back of a chair or door jam or like on the back of my car before I go grocery shopping? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not quite to that point where I can do it, but yeah, are you to that point?
Sometimes not. It's like you said, like if you're in the stream of doing things and there's things to be done, da, 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 and you kind of just keep pushing it aside, but other times I will I'll just be like, what? I'll stop and be like, what is going on? Why is my mind? Because that's like a big thing for me when my mind starts spinning, spinning, spinning.
Mm,
Like, what am I anxious about? What is going on? What can I do about it? So,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or if I'm falling asleep, becoming numbing myself out and not wanting to do things, like I find
Ah,
myself playing little silly games a lot. I'm like, okay, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding? So,
yeah, or like you play a game like how much can I get done in the next hour? You're like, why am I playing that game? I'm normally like a pretty thoughtful worker and now I'm trying to just like do this as fast as possible. That's suspicious. Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. So
Hmm.
you say this in your book, right? That it's the questions that come to mind. That
Yeah, so my book just kind of outlines me in that moment. So I never like pull out to give the 30,000 foot view. What will come out with the book is the companion workbook called Peeling Your Onion. And
nice.
so that was my first foray into, oh, wait, I just wrote this book about what happened, but I can see exactly all the steps that I took. And so I created a workbook that goes along with my process. And I'm gonna put this right here. Let me show this. So this is where I got to the four strategies. Like there's
Mhm.
four specific chunks of learning that I went through. And by learning, I mean like just hot mess, blundering through, trying to figure out what makes me happy, trying to figure out how, with all the baseball bats, like how I could be safe, like how I can
Right.
make my kids safe. Like, and then finally, when I'd gotten to a point where, I felt brave enough to say enough is enough. Like, I am not a match for this marriage anymore in this relationship, and I need out. So the 4 strategies, the first one I call but first friends. And so being a perfectionist, I have a very wicked, condescending, I would say perfectionistic, passive, aggressive, perfect 1950s housewife with completely
Um,
clean apron and
yeah.
hair and, the red lipstick inside of me, ready to, kind of tell me what I'm doing that's not completely 100% perfect.
I love
And
that your
so
critic is passive aggressive.
she's so passive aggressive, and she's kind of like a combination of maybe like the challenging sides of my mother and her mother
Mhm. Yes.
combined. Just gonna put that out there. I call her in my book. I do go through some battles between her. I call her traditional Heidi, and then I have the new emerging Heidi. I call the feminist Heidi. So she's
Mhm.
like, the feminist Heidi is more like. Do you ever see Brave? Disney Pixar
Mhm.
Brave?
Yeah,
She has
yeah.
that crazy red hair. She's got the arrow, and she's like herself unto no one. And
Yes.
so that's my new self emerging in this book is
Mhm.
my feminist Heidi. And so the first characteristics I say that I had to adopt to even move forward was like, um I had to be open. I was such a closed person. I was just trying to get everything right, and I didn't want anyone to see any of the bad stuff.
Right, right.
So I had to open up, and I had to step into the waters of curiosity and step into the waters of giving myself some compassion once in a while, and just not constantly beating myself up,
Mhm.
and having the courage. But you don't just like start doing these things if you get baseball bats. Like me, I would just dig in more and more and more into my current lifestyle. So what I noticed that happened in that book is I found support. I was in isolation before. I didn't really have any like friends that were mine. And so I found support. I found a friend who just liked me for who I was and didn't expect me to be perfect or a certain way. And then I
Right.
found a pastor who would he would ask me like questions that I was like, "Oh, that came out of left field." Okay. And then I found someone who could open that door to what could your new life look like for you? Because
Mhm.
reality, like a lot of us try to, because just like I was like, oh, I'm not happy. And like, oh, this is horrible. Like just the fact that I wasn't happy wasn't enough to move my needle. But the fact that I realized I was unsafe
Mhm.
and my kids were unsafe, that started to move my needle. I was like, all right,
And
this got to
explain
change.
why you were unsafe and your kids were unsafe, just real quickly.
So my marriage was like emotionally unsafe,
Okay.
and it was potentially physically unsafe for my children.
Right, right.
So
Maybe some anger issues going
yeah,
on.
yeah. So it took me a long time to kind of, I'm really good. I don't know if it was my upbringing or what, really good at rationalizing things away. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Mhm.
So I had to kind of like put the inner rationalizer away and say like, what is this for real? And is this serious?
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
don't want to just say like this is fine and no big deal.
Right, and you don't wanna cause a stir or anything like that
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
good girls don't do that.
Yeah, you don't want to be the talk of the neighborhood,
Mm-mm, no. So
Yeah,
so
no.
the first part of the strategy is friends then, is that what you're saying? Like,
Yeah,
with all
so
these friends that you found that
y-
showed you?
yeah, yeah. So the support, yeah, finding the support, like um the person who could open up the door of what my life could be like, and like kind of the trusted adult who can show you a different perspective, and just a friend who accepted me for all of my hot messiness.
Right,
So
right.
that's it. And then the second was like adopting this mindset of like, I'm gonna keep moving forward. I didn't consciously choose bravery, but I think, or courageousness, but I think with having the support around me, it gave me that courage. Like
Mhm.
their support gave me enough. Like if I take these steps forward, they're still going to be there. Like, okay, they're still going to be there. If I go this way, okay, they're still going to be here. So I can move forward and kind of ask myself these questions, because after not having a lot of support, that was very important to me, is like having that base of support
Mhm.
and not losing it. And then patience, like I didn't have like a lot of patience for myself, and so I started cultivating and listening, and with my pastor especially, I did a lot of journaling and a lot of poem writing, and those are time intensive activities. So I started kind of to develop this patience, and now I realize like I'm like the ridiculously patient one. Like that's one of my big strengths that I didn't even
Mhm.
know I had.
Yeah.
So one of the real benefits is like you can go through this process and really tap into the strengths that are just kind of like sleep. They're like your sleeping giants, like your sleeping
Mm.
superpowers. They're just waiting to be exposed. So those two were the first two strategies. And what I'm going to share in my excerpt, I'm going to read one chapter. It's called the Shame Parfait. It's about how I figured out feelings
Mm.
coming from just that do mindset, and not so much in the feeling. So that was like the next big key was like, what are these things, and what do I need to do with them? Like how can I manage my life with all of a sudden, like, from not having a lot of feelings and everything's fine, to like the floodgates are open and I'm like a hot mess all the time, and I'm feeling bad about it. Like I would literally lock myself in bathrooms to cry because I was so
Mm.
ashamed of crying, because I thought it was only for when people died.
Right.
So I didn't know it was like an emotion that we just experience in humanity. So
Right.
that was
Part
like
of
the
being
third,
human.
yeah, that was like the third big strategy, was just like learn to be okay with and sit with and figure out like what are the emotions. I wasn't even like what are my emotions telling me. It's just like just what are them? What
Mhm.
are all these emotions around me, and am I always going to be like this? And so just having that safe, right? So I have that safe person, that trusted adult. And so by my conversations with him, and he was my pastor at the time, like I was able to kind of like figure out what they meant and what they meant to me, and continue to do my poetry too, which is another outlet for my feelings. And so the last one is the title of the workbook. It's about peeling your onion. So it's like how you take all of these different pieces and remove the pieces that of you that relate to everyone else, and like get to the inside you. And so
Mhm.
that's I had to have all these other pieces in place to be able to move forward with the courage, and listen to my inside and see what's there. And so
Mhm.
that was and I was able to say, "Oh my god, I didn't know that um I might be gay."
Mhm.
Spoiler alert. And you'll probably know that like even before you read the book, cuz the people watching this probably know me, or they've read a couple of
Right.
my
And
stories.
you mentioned your wife earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Um so then finding this piece, like, oh my god, just like I didn't know I had all that patience. Like, oh my god, I didn't know, like somebody literally had to baseball bat me, not literally, but metaphorically had to baseball
Yeah.
bat me over the head with like the fact that I might not be straight. And um and so but that is like that's like the big piece. And then it's just like how I tapped into that joy. And I know that everyone watching this replay, everyone listening to this, you deserve joy.
Mhm.
That was how I felt at the end. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Can I have this? Is this for me?
Mhm.
Is that okay? And so finally I was like, damn straight it's okay. I'm gonna go get this joy. I'm gonna
Go
do
get
this.
some.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get me some joy.
Yeah.
And And yeah, so do you want me to read now? Read my chapter?
Yes, please read.
Yay! Okay, so this is during a session, a solo session with my pastor at the time. His name is Kevin, and so it's called the Shame Parfait. Over the next couple of weeks, I go in for solo sessions with Kevin. Today's my third. Today, his office smells like fried chicken, mingled with the sweet smell of prairie flowers, which are tall and blooming right outside his open window. The sun pelts against his wall of stained glass windows, painting the room in patchwork color. I wonder if this is what being in a kaleidoscope feels like. I love and dread coming. Kevin asks a lot of different questions than in couples pastoral counseling. More direct questions. I never know how many times I'll have to excuse myself to go to the bathroom for nerves. But I feel so light, so free after talking. Like I'm stretching out my wings or something. So I keep coming. How are you today? Kevin starts off the conversation. My heart leaps for joy. I can totally answer this one. I raise up one hand as if holding a platter. Well, Jonathan is starting to learn his letters, and I'm teaching him how to tie his shoes. And then I raise my other hand. And Barbie, she is trying to tie my shoes now that I'm teaching Jonathan, which is hilarious. Watching her drag my shoe around the house and roll it in between her hands like she's trying to spark a campfire. I can see a tiny cloud of confusion descend from Kevin's brow. Heidi, that's great to hear. But what I meant to ask is, how are you feeling? Oh, I looked down at my hands. Never as long or slender as my mom's. What am I feeling? And my fingernails always break right at the end of my fingertip. Never long enough to paint. Probably too many dishes. Shit, do I have enough clean plates for dinner? Kevin breaks my worry train with his comforting father voice. How about we pause and pray? He asks. Dear God, thank you for this time for Heidi today, for her bravery to share what is on her mind and in her heart. May you guide her with your loving embrace. Amen. For Heidi. I really like that. Amen. I'm sad, I say. Kevin nods to me in understanding. I just realized that Jonathan's going to be going to kindergarten next year. I continue. So I locked myself in the bathroom yesterday so the kids couldn't see me cry. My heart fills up into my throat again, thinking of all that time away from my special little man. I'm even crying right now. Some quiet moments pass. Kevin offers me Kleenex and I gladly receive it. Heidi, that's a good start. How is that good? I challenge him. Crying doesn't accomplish anything. Kevin looks like he already has the answer to this question. He looks up at the ceiling, then back down to me. You were made by a loving God, your spirit, everything, even your emotions. He made you perfectly. And he takes a breath and continues. So, we started talking about shame triggers. How does that fit in here? Yep, I'm confused. Well, when you were in the bathroom, did you maybe feel bad about crying? And that's why you hid from Jonathan and Barbara? Is he peering directly into my soul or something? Yes, I mutter. His voice gets softer too, like he's soothing a scared horse. You feeling bad might be that you feel ashamed of your sadness. When you get okay with feeling sad, then you can start to see other feelings you might have too. Feelings can be like a parfait. But something inside of me automatically pushes back, like he's getting too close to something. But I need to stay open to figure out what's going on. I don't want to cry in closed bathrooms forever. I want to be done with crying. But crying makes me feel so uncomfortable, like I'm naked. Kevin smiles his comforting smile. Maybe vulnerable. I lean back and pause, looking up at the stained glass windows. I begin to piece my parfait together, trying to make the layers make sense. So yeah, that's the word. Vulnerable. When I get really bristly when Mark starts accusing me of something, it's like I protect my vulnerable side from him. Like I put a top layer of defensive anger on my feelings parfait. I pause. Yeah, that feels right. I see the next layer unfold. So what you're saying is that when I feel bad, that's a shame layer. And when I'm sad about Jonathan, that's a sad layer. And when I'm defensive, that's an angry layer. They're all feelings I have to eat in my parfait or they get stuck in me. And when they can't come out, it's like I'm not feeling all the feelings God made me to feel. I look at Kevin. He's looking at me like I just gave the $1 million answer. Wow, I could not have said that better myself. And Heidi, please know you can't share your innermost feelings, your vulnerability with everyone. It's not safe. It's not safe echoes in my head and my whole body tingles. Holy shit, that means something. So Heidi, this week maybe you can try to do this. Kevin says, when you feel bad, say to yourself, it's okay to feel my feelings. Then you can write them down in a safe place, maybe next to your poems. My stomach wrenches, my eyes widen, and my shoulders rise. Ah, I felt it. I felt shame about you calling them poems. They're just my thoughts when I have a drink or two. Okay, that's real progress. Writing down your thoughts is a great way to start to understand your feelings parfait, because you are worth finding what makes you happy, what brings you joy. Kevin finishes and smiles that big, beautiful, knowing smile of his. Yeah, I am worth finding some joy.
Well done. I love that. It's
Yeah,
very good.
those are some tough sessions.
Those are some tough sessions, but I love that you're showing the baby steps that happen when you are growing and developing and learning and unfolding and all of that. I really enjoyed that.
Oh,
So
thanks.
that was like one of your aha moments, right? And
Yes,
we
yeah. So
always
that was a big, like, all my sessions with him all had something large in them. Yes.
Mhm. And so we're always talking about aha moments. In fact, that's like Oprah, I think, coined that term, aha moment. So talk to me about you're searching for this joy. Talk to me about what I like to call your ode to joy moment. That moment where it's like, oh, I'm there. I have joy. I'm there. Like when you first really felt it.
So one of the other parts of that journey for me was a time my parents would come down a lot and they would watch my kids. And so one of those afternoons, I in mornings, I would normally take off, like I would get to sleep in, and it would be a little mommycation. And instead of just staying home and like making dinner and cleaning the house, I was like, I kind of looked outside and I was like, it's a great day. I think I need to go outside. And then, of course, my mom brain was like, you should go to the park and hang out with your children and your parents. And I was like, that's that passive aggressive Heidi. And
Yeah.
then feminist Heidi was like, you want to go to a different park and make sure they're not there. So I got my shoes on. I listened to the feminist Heidi, got my shoes on, and I went to another local park. And I just kind of started walking around this path. It's like this paved, like half-mile track that go around, like there's a green space and like a jungle gym and tennis courts. And so I got like half of the way done with a lap, and then I stopped and I was like, oh, I'm going to go hang out by this tree. And there's this giant evergreen tree, and there was a bunch of them lining the walk. But I was like, oh, this is the one I'm meant to go. And so I just kind of walked over this tree, and it smells so good. You know, that evergreen smell, and you don't get that much in the Midwest. So you got to really enjoy it when you find it. And then I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to climb this tree. And I'm not like, I'm traditionally afraid of heights. I've overcome that in the last few years. And so I climbed the tree, and I got about maybe 10 feet up, which is pretty high for me. And, being in my lower 30s, it's not like I was 10. So I didn't think about like, what would happen if I like broke a leg or anything. I was like, I'm climbing this tree and I'm going to, see things. And so I got up there and, I scraped and bruised and everything, but, everything mostly intact. And I looked down and I could see that walking track everyone. And then everyone, I sat there for like 10, 15 minutes and like everyone just kept going around the track, right? All the stroller moms and like the people walking their dogs and everything going around that track. And then I'm like, that track is only like 2% of the total park, maybe 1%.
Mm.
And like no one else is on the 99% of the park. And I was like, I think it's time that I take my life off road. I need the 99%. And I came away with, I was like, I'm gonna go off road. I'm gonna be brave, and I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna speak up. And that was the moment where I said, like, that's it. I'm done with the track. I'm done with the prescribed life path. I'm out, and I'm gonna figure it out. So yeah, the tree.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So I came away and I felt like a completely different person. So
Nice. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about an ode to joy moment before we wrap up?
Oh gosh.
Or do you want to wrap up?
You know, the one that's popping into my head right now, it wasn't quite as life changing. But when we were in Hawaii, there was this unbelievable sunset. And it was, I mean, the whole sky was filled with colors. And there was this guy doing this like traditional dance across the beach. And it was just one of those moments where I looked around and I thought, you know, this is God's doing, and it's glorious. And I'm not a hugely religious person, but I was just like in awe of everything in that moment. Like this is unbelievable. And then I told one of the women that actually lives there, and she was like, Hawaii's kind of like that. And she said that sunset was like unbelievable. Like very few sunsets are like that. But she said sometimes she'd be driving down the coast and there'd be a sunset and she'd see a whale breach and she'd be like, is that for real? Is this my life right now?
Wow.
So it was one of those things. So, all right. So when is your book coming out?
So my book is going to be coming out in March 2022.
Nice.
So for updates on like my book progress and everything, my arm is moving because my dogs are both spicy right now, and so I'm feeding them treats. So that's why this is happening. I'm not like airing out my armpits or anything. I'm just tossing treats. So you can follow me on Facebook at Heidi Esther Author. I have a group, My Joyfully Ever After, if you want to get in on all the good stuff.
And you're doing something very special this month.
This month I am doing something very special. I call it
the
Joyfully Ever After Mad Lib Self-Love Letter.
Yeah, this is brilliant. This is brilliant.
31 days of prompts in which I'm going to pull over. You will be able to write yourself your own love letter for the holidays. I mean, come on, self-love for the holidays. What could be better and more fulfilling?
And it's like perfect timing to have that letter at the beginning of the year when you start beating yourself up.
Yes, because then you can be like, oh, yeah, I am brave and I'm really cool and I have an awesome, like, laid back style with, yoga leggings every day. You can totally say that, and it'll remind you, like, oh, when shit hits the fan, I really like to go climb the tree.
Yeah.
So all of that is in here. All of that lovely. In the end, there's a special area. This is my ode to Sark. If you know Sark, I'm a big fan. In one of my depressions, I read a couple of her books, of which had something where you could like write your name in there with some awesome words. And so there's a nice area where you can color in your name. Like you could say the cool Heather Kokx.
Yeah.
And hang it up. And you can even hang it on your tree if you do the Christmas thing. So
that's right.
Awesome.
That's right.
Yeah. And so feel free to go to HeidiEsther.com and sign up to get my joy guide and on my list, because then you get cool, encouraging messages every week.
Yes. And I also put a link on our group page today to sign up for the Mad Libs thing, and also the link to your group. So if people wanted to go join your group page as well.
Yay!
So you can come to this page and go find that information as well. And then I want to say that we are speaking about beating yourself up and everything. On the 5th of January, we have a guest coming who's going to talk about the inner critic and compassion. Her name is Jen Irwin, and we're excited about her. And then
Yay.
on the 15th of December, so I'm going backwards.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to do.
And the 15th of December, we're having a special holiday show.
Yeah.
Do you have something you're putting up for that, or no?
I was just going to say, and these are our announcements, but I did it too late.
Well, I kind of jumped ahead and was like, we're doing announcements.
Yeah.
Now.
So Mad Libs, and then December 15th, we're going to do Holiday Like a Boss show. Yes. So how to show up for the holidays, not slice off your pound of flesh, enjoy everything, no matter what kind of personality you have. Heather's going to do like an awesome 411 on like how you can enjoy the holidays, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk a lot probably about boundaries. Feel free to bring a drink. It's going to be at night.
Yes.
And we're just going to hang out and chat about all things how to holiday like a boss.
Yeah. 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain. So it's a special little thing. We're excited about it. Yeah.
Yay. All right. So I think we're going to, for time's sake, we'll do a quick no seriously. Okay. I forget what I put.
My quick no seriously is very quick. Jeff's father died in April of 2020. Jeff's mother has been clearing out the house because he's a pack rat and he has all these hunting guns and she doesn't want the guns in the house. And so she has been harping Jeff for a year and a half to get these guns out of the house. So finally I was like, you know what? I will come, I will get the guns. I will put them, I'm fine. So, I mean, they're seriously hunting guns. They aren't meant for anything else. Mm-hmm. So I go and I get them and she's like, oh, and I'm thinking I'm just going to be picking up some hunting guns. She's like, oh, and then here's this box that has stuff in it. And here's this box that has stuff in it. And here's this box. And I'm like, we were just picking up guns. So I came home with all these boxes.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, Jeff's not going to be happy about this. So that was my like, no, seriously. I feel like I just got ambushed to get a bunch of her junk out of her house. So
wow.
That was it.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So I'm going to talk. I already told Heather about this, but so every year I make a pumpkin cheesecake. Every year there's like some kind of crisis or debacle around my pumpkin cheesecake situation. Not a big fan of pumpkin pie. We've pivoted to the pumpkin cheesecake, omitted the nutmeg and allspice, of which I do not a big fan of. And so make it super great. This year, I got a fancy springform pan. I used to have a push pan. So I was like, ooh, #upgrade. And I had the crust in there just fine. And then I poured it in and I locked it. And it just started leaking everywhere. And I was like, geez. And so I quickly poured the stuff back in my KitchenAid bowl. And then I parsed the crust up into my two cake pans. And then I baked them because there was a lot of juiciness from the cheesecake into the crust. So I wanted the crust to be firm. So just put them in there, brought them out. I was like, all right, gonna whip out and just pour the cheesecake on there. I'm going to do this. No problem. I got a hot water pan of hot water to make it nice and moist and tropical in there. And so for this first pan, I poured, no problem. Second pan, it's like I forgot. I had amnesia that it was just in a 350-degree oven. So I held it with my hand, and then I screamed like, ah! And so it flew off my hand, and it did like this whole like 360. The pan separated from the crust. The crust went boom, and they both went boom, right on the ground. And I don't know, somehow the crust only had like a slight crack in it. And I'm like, oh. And so I was like, all right, 10-second rule. What do I got to do here? So I take the hot pad, I flip open the pan, and I get to like spatula's out, and I flip it back into the pan. I'm like, all right, 10-second rule. We're never going to know which one this is. And so kind of pat the thing down, put it in the oven, and we had cheesecake. So that's my no serious.
And your hand was okay.
My hand was okay. Yeah, I only held it for like a fraction of a second, so it was
Yay, pain receptors.
not a crisis. Not a crisis. All right. Heather, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful that Watson, our new cat, and Ember are getting along better and better every day. That's my
Yay.
simple grateful. Yep.
Yay.
Ember, my dog.
And
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful that our house celebrates Thanksgiving, and then we wait until after Thanksgiving to put up Christmas. So,
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I got to fully embrace all the Thanksgiving loveliness and then move on to Christmas. So
Yes. Well done.
all right. Whew.
So, bowl of affirmation?
Yep. It's a bowl of affirmation. I was gonna have new affirmations today, but had a lot going on this week. So we have the regular bowl of affirmations. Next time I'm gonna do colored ones. So I'm gonna do colored ones for the holiday party.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So if you are here, and I know there are a few of you, please say your name in the chat, and then I will pull out an affirmation for you.
Or just put me too. Something like that, in case your name is already on there.
I think you have to let StreamYard see your name, because we got a comment, but I couldn't see the name of the person. It just says Facebook user. But Facebook user, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So this was the one I pulled for you.
I am grateful. All right then.
All right. So that kind of goes. All right. Oh, Jennifer.
Yes. Jennifer Irwin, who is going to be our guest.
Yay. All right, Jennifer, here's yours. Oh, I love this one.
Boop. What does it say? I treat myself like a good friend. Oh, that's a good one.
All right. I will write that in afterwards. And oh, this is mine.
Obstacles are my opportunities.
Yeah, obstacles are my opportunities.
That's so interesting, because I was wondering I was thinking about asking earlier, if when the bat comes beating, is it beating off the layers of the onion? That's what I was wondering.
I wish. I feel like right now, though, I'm like, all right, thank you for the lesson. How do I need to pivot? And so I pivoted this morning from hot mess to empowered joy in about 3 hours. So I feel like that's my record. Nice. So now it's like a challenge, like how much can I learn from this baseball bat? And when can I get to a point where, I'm grateful for it? And so that window got shorter. So that's the process now. That's the resilience cycle right there. You just keep going. How fast can you pick yourself up and brush yourself off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. And Jennifer said she liked her affirmation. So
yay.
That was perfect. Yay. All right.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Feel free to put a bunch of stuff in the comments, like we were talking about, the whole, what are you grateful for? Mm-hmm. If you have a no seriously moment, how are you taking care of yourself today? And what are you proud of this week? All right.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you on the 15th.
So yeah, we'll see you on the 15th, and bring your Christmas jams and your drinks.
Yes. I love it. Bye, guys.